Hi, so I've made it to the end of the fifth day, or my fifth day at Tiff 2013, and that's day 6 for the festival, which means it's the midway point. So only a few more a few more film viewing days to go. Yeah, fatigue was sort of setting in earlier this morning. I thought, oh boy, more films, more running around to theaters, finding the seats and all that jazz and looking up stuff. But you know what? After the films I saw today, I'm actually reinvigorated and I'm really excited about what's to come. So I'll start off with the first thing that I saw today, which was The Disappearance of Eleanor Rigby, Him and Her, written and directed by Ned Benson and starring Jessica Chastain and James McAvoy. So the Him and Her, that sort of subtitle, is actually two separate subtitles. The film is two films in one, really. They're two sections of one very long film. It's 3 hours long in total. However, each part could be their own standalone feature film, and they're titled, one is Him and one is Her. I saw in at the screening today, they presented Her first, followed by Him. At the premiere, which was yesterday, they did the opposite by showing Him first, followed by Her. And I think on Saturday, when they have the final screening, they're going to go back to the Him and Her. But they just thought while they're at the festivals, they'll try out this experiment of showing Her before Him. And so I don't know how you can tell which one is better, because you can never see one and then unsee it and then try it again. But I can't spoil it for you by explaining myself at this point, but I think I would have preferred the Him before the Her, just for as far as how the story unravels. It's the same story, but nonetheless, when you're doing it from these two perspectives, um, each perspective has, of course, some blanks that need to be filled by the other, and just given that piece of information, I guess I would prefer the Him before the Her. So back to what this is. It's a love story, ultimately, and what I really liked about the film was that it's providing something that only the film can provide, which is this experience of living through an entire love story, like this entire chapter in this couple's life, from one very subjective perspective, and then following up immediately with the other side of the equation. In real life, we just get our own. We're not able to leave it behind somehow and go back and relive it, but just from a different angle. And this is giving us an experience that, I think we all would love to know more and understand better the other side of the relationship. And some of us really try and go to great lengths, but ultimately it's not possible. Us as an audience member on the outside of it, we get to see that. And sure, there are a lot of films that give you a more sort of neutral perspective, so you kind of see both sides, but not in this way, not structured like this, so you really get the pure experience. So, for example, even though it was 3 hours long, I didn't feel the 3 hours by the end of it. However, after the first part, after I saw Her, and we were getting near the end, I thought, okay, I can't believe there's this whole Him side of it. I almost didn't want it. I felt nervous about it. I thought, no, 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 this is nice. It's all, we got it. This is the story. This is how it is. And it's heart-wrenching enough that one time, and you're thinking, do I have to go through this and live this again? I've made my decisions about what's happened and what's going on with these people, and how I feel about the two people, and who takes some of the blame or not, or whatever, as you make opinions on these things. It's normal. And so I was not I must say I wasn't welcoming the next part, but I'm glad I got it. Even though I can see that they can both stand on their own as two completely separate features, together they offer just this experience that's unlike anything else that you can get in a love story. And in that way, I mean, it's gonna be one of my favorite, I think, love stories on film. I'm concerned though, because like many things at the festival, it doesn't quite have the whole distribution situation sorted out. And this is going to have a greater challenge than other films because of the way it's structured. I mean, to get a 3 hour film into a cinema, I think, is very difficult, just because of how they're structured as far as their business structure. They really need to know that they're going to, I guess, get a certain amount of box office tickets sold to justify taking that whole block like of 3 hours, because then that's only so many screenings that you can do in a day. Um, they may choose then to just release one of them, just the him, just the her, and follow it up with the other one down the road at a different time. Maybe simultaneously, one cinema will have her, one cinema will have him, and it'll be your choice what you want to see. That could be a fun experiment. Or have just him or just her at the theater, and have a streaming version from home that, like, you pay and you get a code or whatever, and from home you can fill in the blank if you want to. So it's sort of like a choose how much you want to really know about this relationship. You can live in this little, like, narrow view of the story, and it might be just fine and good enough for you. But then if you find yourself wondering about that other side of the equation, you go and stream it. So honestly, it's almost exciting, all the different things that they can do with this new way of uh, of having a film. Um, but also just nerve-wracking. I mean, are they going to get away with it? What are they going to do? Is it just going to, I don't know, just do the festival circuit and that'll be it? Gosh, I hope not. And for that reason, I am really tempted to go to the 9 a.m. screening on the 14th at the Hot Doc Cinema. It's a good cinema. It's a cinema I could probably do a rush ticket on. So I might do it. I'm going to double check, though, that it's definitely him showing before her before I make that crazy commitment of watching it again. Because it'll be like having the same story 4 times, but worth it, I think. Worth it. Right, so it's those two but when you get the different perspectives, of course, they have the different secondary supporting characters to help tell those stories. And so you end up also with this wonderfully talented big cast. So there's William Hurt, Viola Davis, Bill Hader, Isabelle Huppert, Karen Hines, and Jess Wexler for this, to round out this wonderful cast. And it's well written, beautiful cinematography, filmed, on location in New York and sort of the tri-state area. And what else did I want to say about that? Oh, okay, so the camera techniques and the general feel of both films is the same. You can see that it's the same film. However, there are differences. There's differences in basically in the art direction, so in the color schemes and even in the costumes, like in the outfits, they change ever so slightly in the film. So little sort of like Easter eggs, you can, if you do get a chance to see it, see how many of those sort of slight nuanced things you can catch that add to sort of to underline the idea that when you're approaching something from your perspective, things change so much, and there's so much more informing how you're gonna then interpret some given event. So there you have it. That's that movie. Highly, highly, highly recommended. And even though the film, they didn't play a single bit of the song, the Beatles song, Eleanor Rigby. It's been in my head all day, and it's kind of driving me mad. But maybe once I sleep, it'll leave my head. Okay, so finally, at the end of the day, I then went to see Going Away, which in French is Un Beau Dimanche. So just like many films, the title in the original language and then the translated language is very different. Going Away is not the translation of Un Beau Dimanche, but for whatever reason, I guess they thought for the English-speaking audience, Going Away would be a more compelling title. And Un Beau Dimanche does evoke certain ideas already that would be recognizable to the French community, which I don't think is necessarily um, the same for the English community. And it's directed and written by Nicole Garcia, and she's an actress. She's been in many French films, and I think I recognize her. I know the films. I looked it up, and so yeah, I do. She was there to present the film, so that's how I'm sort of gauging it. And yeah, it's a really delightful film. Of course, I might have a little bit of a bias because it does take place in the south of France, and the main characters. A teacher and the other main character works in the restaurant business. And when I was in the south of France, when I was living there, I was a teacher and I was friends with all people who work in the restaurant and bar business. So in a way, it was a sort of like a trip back to those times. But from that point on, like after sort of the first, I guess, 20 minutes of the film, it completely changes into a sort of completely different thing that I don't quite relate to, but it was still a very interesting story. And this is it's a family story. It's a love story. I mean, the director and writer presented it as a love story, and that it is. But I think ultimately it's about belonging. It's about what is family, what it means, and what the responsibilities are in family. And in that respect, it was really interesting. I thought it raised a lot of really interesting questions about the idea of just that, like the responsibility of your family members, your responsibility to them, their responsibility to you, and and giving it from a lot of different perspectives. All the characters seem to have sort of a point uh, in that question, um, and but without it being so obvious. It's really subtle in that way, and it's very creatively interwoven story. So I do highly recommend that as well. And the lucky thing is, it does have one more screening, and it's at 12:30 p.m. At the Tiff Lightbox on September 14th. So I think as far as rush tickets, as long as it's not a gala event or some special presentation at the TIFF light box, there should be even rushing quite a few options. And possibly this film is available straight up. Like if you went online right now, I'm sure you could get it. So and I recommend it. So there you have it. That's the end of day 5. And tomorrow I have a film I have been waiting to see for at least a year, I feel. Think it's been that long. So excited. I'm not going to tell you what it is yet. I'll save that for tomorrow. So, okay, good night.